Now, Storm Chasers, today I have with me and I wrote this down so I say it exactly right, a clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist and introspective hypnosis practitioner. Did I get that right, Neoshi?
Yes.
I got that. Okay. Miss Naoshi is going to come and talk to us today about hypnosis, about past life regression, and we're going to talk about this is not a religion, but this is definitely spirituality. Miss Naoshi has been in this game for a while. Like I went to her LinkedIn and looked at her credentials, and I'm like, okay, she is certified. So we want to officially welcome you to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like I was telling you before we even got started, I've been watching you on Instagram for a while now. I see that you do sessions with people where they go under hypnosis, and you help to remove maybe spirit attachment, inner child, past trauma, like what's ever going on with them. And I remember seeing one video where a lady like was she was South American in the past life,
Mm-hmm.
and she was going through like a ritual or something like that. So I was very intrigued. And so I'm glad you came here to the show today. And so I guess my first question is explain to us, what is hypnosis?
So, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions around hypnosis, which is why a lot of people are afraid of it, and they, fear like what's going on. But hypnosis is basically, and I like to define it as a focused state of relaxation. It is actually a very common state that a lot of us go through, or everybody has experienced at one point in time. Um, where and there's different forms of hypnosis, but just to give you an idea, the most common form of hypnosis is daydreaming. Another is through like when you know how you're watching a movie or a TV show and you like really into it, and it's like, oh, like this is my show, like what's gonna happen next, and you just traumatized, not traumatized, you're like in a trance just watching it. And like, let's say a friend comes in, they call your name, and they're calling you, and then it takes them like 3-4 times before you're like, oh, what. It's like because you were so focused on what you were observing, that you kind of blocked out everything else. That's very similar to hypnosis. It's like I said, there's different states of it, but with hypnosis you are, it's not a situation where it's mind control. It's nothing like that. A lot of people think that, they see the movie Get Out and they start thinking they're going to the sunken place when they hear hypnosis, but it is nothing like that. It's basically, when you go into hypnosis, you go into a deeper trance than what you would consider daydreaming or watching TV or anything like that. But it's the purpose is to access the subconscious mind,
Okay.
where basically all of your memories and experiences are stored in the subconscious mind. And the purpose of the hypnosis is to find out, where the cause of certain like emotions or mental or physical or emotional situations started, because they're usually always starting from a childhood experience or like a memory from something that happened and you completely forgot, or you suppressed because it wasn't pleasant and you don't want to deal with it, so you suppressed it. And so being able to take you into hypnosis to access that information to go to the cause allows us to be able to work with that situation, help you resolve it so that you don't have to experience whatever, however it's affecting you in your life.
Well, I tell you what, when we have our session, I don't know what's gonna come out. I'm like, man, because I'm in like regular therapy right now, but even when I talk to the therapist, I notice like he'll ask me something and I'm like, I don't remember. Or like there's blocks of my childhood that I just literally don't remember. So stuff like that would come out under hypnosis if we dig into that, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. But at the beginning of the session, I always try to find out what's the reason for your session, so we can know what we're looking for, so I can make sure that I give you the whatever relief that you're looking for that day. So we always look for the cause of whatever issue that you're experiencing. But yeah, a lot of times people have things that come up that they don't remember, or they've forgotten, or they suppress. and or stuff that they thought like I thought I was over that. I thought I healed that, and it's like, nah, if it's coming up, boo, you need to deal with it because it ain't done. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I guess my next question would be explain to us what past life regression is.
Okay. So past life regression, whether you believe in it or not, and a lot of people, some people don't believe in it. It's cool, but it doesn't affect your ability to be able to experience it or go through it.
Okay.
So past life regression is basically where you go into hypnosis, and we again access the subconscious mind, access the subconscious memories, to take you to a past life that you lived before, and it affected you in some way. And I when my sessions, I don't do past life regression just for the sake of just like, oh, I want to know what I was. I'm curious. Like I don't do that. Um, Everything I do is with a purpose. It was with intent. So, if a client comes to me and it's like, oh, I want to explore my past lives, I would say, well, why? What's the purpose of that? What are you trying to find out? So again, it's because when you're going into hypnosis, you're looking for the cause of something. And like I said, sometimes it's found in childhood memory and sometimes it's found in the past life memory. Exactly where beforehand, I have no idea where this person's going to find that. I never know until we get to that memory and they start telling me what's happening, what they're experiencing, what they see, what they hear, whatever. And then it lets me know, oh, this is their current life, or not, this is something, I don't know what this is. This is their past life. So yeah, it's basically, and a lot of people have different models of what past life regression is. There's different models and beliefs on, reincarnation. A lot of people feel like, when you will reincarnate, or there's no such thing as reincarnation when you die. So I don't know. But, it's very similar to people say when they die, they go to heaven. It's like, that's just the same thing as saying, when you die, your spirit doesn't die. It's the body that dies. Your soul lives on. It goes to heaven, wherever you want to call it, in between hell, whatever you want to call it, whatever your interpretation of it is. But it continues on. It goes into other journeys, other, prospects of life. And sometimes we don't always reincarnate as a human.
Wait,
Whether
wait,
you believe in,
so
yeah.
you telling me some people coming back as like cats and dogs?
Listen, I see cats, I see dogs, I see people come back as trees or the wind or the air or rock, or frog, alien, you name it.
Okay, we got to dig into okay. Because I'm like, what? Okay, so because it reminds me, and I don't want to be ignorant, but I believe people who practice Hinduism, they have that belief that you can come back as different things. So I'm just like, wow. Okay, so but let's talk about what inspired you to get into this field. Like, do you come from a family of spiritual people, or did you find this path on your own?
Embrace Pangaea is a black-owned health and wellness brand that has solidified themselves as being able to take care of your yoni. But guess what? They do more than just service your yoni. Yes, as a matter of fact, Embrace Pangaea has products to cover you from head to toe, inside and out. And in particular, let me tell you about a couple products that I personally use. Number one is the herbal tooth powder that is better than any toothpaste that you will get over the counter. It will get your teeth clean and help your teeth to maintain a natural white shade. And in addition to that, the advanced botanical mouthwash is something that we all should have in our medicine cabinet. Now, when you look at a bottle like this with 25 potent herbs like echinacea, golden cell, don't laugh at me if I mispronounce that, you know what I meant. We need these natural ingredients in our mouth rinses so that we can fight tooth decay, gingivitis, all of that plaque, halitosis, and overall poor oral hygiene. Okay, so if you want to get a good clearance when you go to the dentist, get you some Embrace Pangaea. And in addition to that, make sure you use my code STORM to get 10% off your order at checkout today.
Okay, so my family, I grew up in a very Christian household. My family is still very much Christian,
Okay.
which is why I was a bit hesitant in starting this because, my family I didn't know how they was gonna, accept it or how they was gonna look at it. But basically, I have to go back to my first, I guess what you call it, spiritual awakening. I was about 5 years old. We were in church. We went to church almost every night. My cousin's father was well, he still is a pastor, and we would go to his church. And it's a very, very much of a Southern Baptist feel. Like catching the Holy Ghost, speaking in tongues was a normal. And I would see that, and then one day I just was so curious because I was always like I still am a very curious and analytical person. Like I just like observe everything and try to figure it out how it works. You know what makes it work, why it works. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I at one day in church, and I'm seeing this happen again, and they're speaking in tongues. Like I'm trying to figure out like how are they doing this? Like, how does this work? Like, how are they able, like, they look like they feel like really feeling something. I want to feel it. I want to experience it. What is this? I want to feel the Holy Ghost. I want
Right.
to feel what it's like to speak in tongues. Because clearly, it sounds like a language that they're being influenced by. It doesn't sound like just some gibberish.
Yeah.
And I just was just very much wanted to feel that and experience it. And I watched them for a few days, and not a few days, for a while. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm just watching them, like maybe they just faking it. Maybe they just like maybe it starts off like you just fake it, and then afterwards you feel it. So okay, let me just try it. This is my 5-year-old mind trying to figure out things. Okay. And so I go run up to the front, jumping and screaming hallelujah, thank you Jesus, trying to see if I can experience the same thing there because this is what I'm seeing them do. So let me see what happens. I go do that, throw myself to the floor, and I'm laying there because that's what I see them do. And I lay there, and then have one of the ushers or somebody come over and they lay the little white cloth over your legs, and I'm
Yes.
laying there and I'm thinking, nah, this ain't it. I don't feel nothing. They can't be faking it. Like this ain't working. I don't know what they're doing, but I need to figure this out because I want to feel that. And so at that age, I was very aware that there's a supreme higher being that we're connected to, that we have access to, and I wanted to feel that, and I wasn't feeling it. And so fast forward to life. Growing up, I spent most of my life looking for that connection. You know what I mean? Whether it be studying different religions in school and being exposed to those, and all those things just never really resonated with me at all. Um, I It wasn't until like after my second child, my daughter, where I kind of went through this whole come to Jesus moment, what I call it,
Okay.
where I was like really depressed and feeling like a lot of anxiety and things like that. Being a mom, from going from one child to two children overnight, and being a wife, etc., and all these other responsibilities that I had, and still not feeling like I found that connection to source like I was looking for, not finding that connection to God that I felt like was possible, that I wanted to feel. Like it just felt empty. And so combine that with everything else that was going on in life, I fell into a very deep depression. And I remember one day I was in my room and I just literally fell to my knees and started crying, just crying, 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 and saying, God, just please, like I need to find out, I need to feel your presence. I need to find out what my purpose is. Like, and that was a big thing because I was searching for, my purpose. And for me, purpose is tied to your spirituality. You know what I mean? And for me, it was like I wasn't finding that. Like everything that I did, it felt good. I liked doing it, but it just, there was something missing. I just still felt like there was an emptiness. Like there was no connection there, a higher connection that I felt like I was supposed to be doing. So long story short, I fall to my knees and crying, 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 and asked to just please, just I literally said, just God, just use me. Like I'm here. Like just use me. I just need to find something that aligns, that feels good to me, that aligns with who I am and my purpose in this life. And I know somebody crying like snot nose, boogers, everything.
You did those.
So
Uh-oh.
and all of a sudden I just hear and feel like this warmth that says, like, be patient, like it's coming, like you're on the right path, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. In essence, just like I got the, like, you're on a path, you're on a journey, you're not there just yet, but you're almost there, just keep going. And so I got that and I heard that and I was just like immediately felt like okay, I can keep going. Like I felt a reassurance, like okay, I'm not alone. That's part of the connection I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel that, to know that you know I'm supposed to be looking for that thing that is bigger than, you know what I mean, that connection. And that was confirmation for me and gave me the strength to keep going, to keep looking for that and keep searching. And long story short, that led me to other things. Like I started studying astrology and numerology, all these different things. Then I started finding the work of Abraham Hicks and Dolores Cannon, and they deal with a lot of the more esoteric things. That eventually led me to looking at finding other excuse me, other videos and information into past lives. Like I was telling somebody this story the other day, which I completely forgot about. I was at the library one day with my children, and we were looking for a book. And so I'm looking for the book, and I go to the area where I think the book is. And when I walk up to the area, there's another book laying out, but it's sticking out like it fell over. And I'm thinking, okay, let me just push the book back up because somebody, either they left it or it's falling out, whatever. So I'll push it up. As I push it up, I'm looking at the title, and it says, I think it's like a Brian Weiss book or something. It's past life something. I forget the title because I read so many books. I don't remember which one it was. And I'm like, because I had just started looking into and getting interested in that whole, the past life regression. And I was like, okay, this is odd for me to come across this book when I'm just discovering it and now looking into this. So, I was like, let me just take it. So I take the book and check it out and read it. And then, started finding other videos and things where basically I found the work of a Colombian hypnotherapist. He's a world-renowned hypnotherapist. His name is Aurelio Mejia. I hope I said his name right. But he basically had been using this method where, he was able to use certain techniques that allowed you to be able to heal whatever issue you have or resolve whatever issue you have within just one session. And on top of that, it was, him using other different spiritual tools that I fell in love with while, on that whole path. So it was past life regression. It was, healing the childhood wounds and memories and things like that. It was, spirit attachment and releasements, like sending those things to like understanding how they affect you and the relief you get once they're gone. And then, even just connecting with your higher self or your spirit guides to get guidance. That for me was just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this is amazing. And it really resonated with me. And I just would literally like be watching the videos morning, noon, night, to the point where like I was literally obsessed with it. And my husband suggested to me one day, he's like, listen, you'd be great at this. Why don't you just learn to do it? And I'm like, thinking about that, I never considered that. Like, I was just, and he said, and it was like, it just felt good when he said it felt right. And I was like, okay. The only first thing I'm thinking is my parents, they might want to disown me because they, might look at it like, oh, what are you talking about? Spirits and stuff? You doing some exorcism and stuff? And they're like, Lord, and it's nothing like that. But I was like, all right. So I told my husband, I was like, I'll sleep on it. And long story short, I decided, I'm going to do it anyway. I love my parents. I think that they know who I am at heart. And I will hope that, they would understand my decision to do what I'm going to do, because I can't live for somebody else's idea of what they want me to be, or somebody else's beliefs or their, like their whole idea for me for life. I can't live like that. I've never been that person. I'm always the person advising other people like, yo, do what you need to do for you. Don't worry about nobody else, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had to take my own advice and then be like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. So I did it, I told my parents I was doing it. And, I started showing kind of warm them up to see like, this is what I'm going to be doing, et cetera. And it was kind of like, you gotta be careful, man. Spirits and stuff, messing with these spirits. I don't know about, spirits jump on you and da da da. And I understand it because it is real when you're dealing with energy and you're dealing with spirit. They, they can attach to you, they can attach to somebody else. I understand that, which is why.
And it happens all the time. You can walk down the street and somebody's energy attaches to you. So come on now.
Exactly, because there's more than one type of spirit attachment or just attachment, period. It's, different forms. You can have the energy of people who are living, their energy attached to you, influence you in certain ways. So it's very, it was very much of an issue for me to make sure that, whatever I did felt right for me. So anyway, I went from like teasing them like, hey, Dad, let me do a session for you. And then we're like, you ain't getting in my brain, you're not getting in my mind. No. to now, to like maybe a year later, my dad's like, I think I'm ready for a session. I was like, whoa, really?
Oh, not look, I have this joke. Not the Christian.
Yeah. But
Wow.
I work with a lot of people I work with are spiritual, but I've gotten quite a few people who consider themselves to be Christian.
Okay.
Understand that the work that I'm doing, they know that it's nothing demonic like some people might think, and they know that when we talk about spirits, and that's usually the only thing that they're concerned about, like spirits. And it's like, when I'm speaking with spirits and I'm helping these spirits go to the light and helping them move from you, it's not exorcism. It's like we're having a conversation. I talk to them like I'm talking to you right now. We're literally having a conversation like this, and there's no, it's all done with love, respect, and like, let me help you go to the light. That's it.
Are you ready to be liberated? Have you found that you and your partner's love life is boring and you need a boost? Then I got the perfect book for you. While we all locked down on this COVID quarantine, go ahead to Amazon and cop Erotic Liberations. And oh yes, it's very erotic. See, Erotic Liberations is so steamy that it was banned on Facebook, and it will take you to a climax that you have never reached before. See, Erotic Liberations makes 50 Shades of Grey seem like a Dr. Seuss book. It will enhance your creativity, entertain you, and help to raise that freak number. We all want to find our inner freak, that person that we got locked away in a cage, all right? And Erotic Liberations is guaranteed to blow your mind so that you and your partner can blow each other all night. Head to Amazon right now and get Erotic Liberations, authored by Marlon Green and Karen Cream.
There's no,
I've seen videos where you do that, where you're talking to maybe it may be somebody that died like in 1930 something, and they, in the spirit itself, it can't find the light, so it's lost. And so you're just kind of like guiding it and helping it pass over. So I know it's hard to explain, but if you can, what does the spirit world look like? Like, what do you see when you are talking to these spirits?
Okay, so I don't have those gifts to be able to see spirit world. Everybody always thinks I do. That'd be great, but I don't have it. So I don't necessarily see anything when I'm talking to them. I can feel their energy in a way where I can feel, because a lot of them, they're sometimes they're not always lost. Sometimes they're intentionally like attached to these people because they held on to such intense emotions when they died. They had, just like everybody, you see situations where you have people, family who haven't talked in years and they die, and then the other person's like so hurt because they never got to resolve the issue with that person and they died, and I never said I was sorry, and all this stuff like that. These people, they die, and sometimes they have unresolved issues. They're holding on to hurt or anger or any emotion, you name it. And then sometimes they will, that emotion is so strong, so heavy for them that they can't see the light. They can't find their way to the light. So it's like, or they just decide, I see light, I ain't going. Or they're afraid because of maybe something that they've done in their life. They feel like, oh, I don't deserve to go, or they're not going to let me in the light. It's literally like, oh, it's a club, they ain't going to let me in. And it's like, they're going to let you, like you. And I have a different, ideology from, I guess, probably what some Christians might think, where they feel like, oh, if you've done this in your life, you can't go to heaven, or you can't go into the light, et cetera, et cetera. For me, life is like a school. You know what I'm saying? We come here to learn different things. There's a purpose that we come here for. There's lessons that we have to learn. There's certain things that we go through, and things that you go through in this life is all based upon the lessons that you were supposed to learn. Now, whether you decide to learn that lesson or not, that's on you. But it was still at the end of the day, it was still part of a school for you to go and learn. So once you leave this plane, this earthly plane, and you go, once you leave that body and your spirit ascends, or leaves that body and decides, what am I going to do? You're always able to go into the light, so you can figure out what else you want to do. I believe that they're in the light, that there's guides, there's healing, there's things for you to be able to decide, what is my next step? Like, what am I going to do next? Am I going to go move forward to learn this lesson to go learn that lesson, or am I going to rest and heal, or like whatever? Like, it literally, it's a space for you to decide, or to figure out what your next move is, where you're going to put your energy next.
Okay.
So yeah, I forgot the question you asked me initially. I hope I answered that.
My next question would be, have you ever felt dark energy when you're doing these readings, or anything that even scared you, like, oh, that took you back?
No, because I don't approach it from a place of fear. I've come across certain energies that might feel like, okay, this one is they're holding on to a lot of hate and anger. Like, I'll feel that, like, and I have to work with them. But I always approach them from a place of love. Like, I understand, like, a lot of the work that I do is to help my clients too, but I end up helping a lot of spirits. You know what I mean? Like, a lot, that's part of my work that I end up doing, because in order to help them, decide to move on from my client, I have to help them heal first. So it's a lot of therapy for them in there. So I'm trying to figure out what was going on in your life. Like, what happened with you? How did you die? When you died, why didn't you go to the light? And since you've been with this person, like, how have you been affected, and why have you been doing that? And a lot of times, you'll find anywhere from relatives to children that were aborted, to miscarriages, to,
Wow.
if you've had, like, maybe let's say like an organ or blood transfusion or something like that, or organ transplant, you can find the energy of that person attached to you. You can find past life people who were in your life attached to you. You can find, like I said, thought form. Like, you can literally find everything. Anything. There's nothing. You get thought forms from people's energy. Maybe if they were overpowering and they made you feel a certain way, like, that energy can attach to you. When I notice or feel like they're having a difficult time, I always, try to make them understand that I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. And that a lot of them have a lot of anger in there. So I don't know if I would necessarily call it dark, but I have found the only thing I can think of that was kind of like, oh, this is weird, was I found like an alien attached to one of my clients. It was like a dark aliens.
An alien.
That afterwards they said it was like, there was this, I forget, it was some type of, it's like gosh, I can't remember. But when afterwards, it was like, yeah, it looked like the character from, I think, a Batman or something, some type of uh, character, like one of the bad guys or something like that. They was describing that's how it looked. Um, but that was the only thing that was surprising for me. But we had the same conversation. It was having the same issue. It was hurting. I think it was a situation with its family, and it was feeling depressed, and it was just lost in the darkness. And I helped them find the light. And when they found the light, he went to the light. So, yeah, I don't approach my sessions from fear, because I know that just, we're all extensions of source. We're all God's children. And, we come from the light. We all can return to the light. It's just a matter of us healing and finding out what's holding us from going there. So, yeah.
Honestly, your approach, what you're really going to give people too, is a sense of like reassurance that, when they pass, that there's hope after. There's not just like, if you didn't do X, Y, and Z, you're going to fire and brimstone. You give them, like, look, it's not just what's been put in the book. It's way deeper than that. I did want to get your opinion on a few things. Recently, NASA has been honest that they have been communicating with aliens for decades at this point, and every president has. So, coming from a spiritual person, what do you believe aliens are real, or what are they spiritual beings? Like, what are they?
So for me, I've always known aliens were existing. I always felt like they were real. I was always like fascinated with like the fact that we have life outside of this earth. And when you think about how big this universe, galaxy, whatever the biggest form of existence, when you think about how big it is, how many different planets and solar systems, like, how in the world would we be the only living like life forms in this
Thank
whole,
you.
like,
Thank
come
you.
on. Like, you think God, like, we talk about how great God is,
Yes.
but you think that God is only capable of and would only create one life form that would be, us. Like, why would you think that there wouldn't be other you know that there's other lower life forms. Why would you think there wouldn't be maybe possibly higher life forms with more intelligence and different, you know what I mean? Like, that's my whole perspective on it. So I've always felt that that was the case, and so it was surprising to hear them, say stuff like, "Oh yeah, we've been communicating with." And it's like, "Oh, now y'all ready to talk."
Now y'all ready to let us know what y'all been doing for the longest. Okay, in just being like, well, before I get to that part, let me ask you this: being like in like Miami, do you find yourself like inspired by like being near the water and things like that? Because I know a lot of spiritual people, they like to live near the water. I didn't know if there was any kind of connection to that.
I love the water. I do. Somebody said to me the other day, I don't know how she knew it. She was like, that's why you love the water so much. She's like, you won't go too far out in the water though, because you're like a little like, I don't know what's in there. But you love the water. I'm like, that is exactly how I am. I won't go too far in. If I have to go 5 feet out, like maybe I go 5 feet out. But when I can't see what's going on or I feel something touch my leg, I said I'm getting out. But I love the water. I
Okay.
love the water. So I don't know. Maybe there's some type of influence there. I don't know. It's I wouldn't necessarily say that I know for sure that there's a spiritual connection to it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't either. I just thought it was interesting because I've noticed that from a lot of people. Something I was curious about, do you feel that if someone is on a spiritual journey, like, should they be also not only changing themselves, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, but also as far as their diet is concerned? Because I feel like the standard American diet is closing us off to who we are spiritually. Is there any truth to that, or am I kind of off?
No, it's up to everybody's interpretation, but I'm of the same mind. Like, you got to definitely take care of your physical as well. Like, everything affects you. There's different facets of who you are. There's different parts. When we were created, God didn't just focus on the physical. There was also mental, which is why we have the brain. There was also, the spiritual, which is why we have the spirit, and there's also, the earth, the things of the earth, that plants and things like that were put there for us to eat. So everything is a part and is significant to who you are and your health, whether it be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. So yeah, I definitely feel that that's an important part as well.
Nice, 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 nice. And so I know, like I said, when we do our session, I'm definitely like, you record the whole thing, right? Is it once you do it, is the person able to keep the recording, or do you keep it, or how
Yeah,
does?
that's why I record it, so that you can have a copy of it. The ones that you see on my YouTube channel, those are always like shared with my clients approve. I don't just blast stuff and put people to, and the stuff that you see on there is never like personal stuff for them. That you would be able to figure out like how's this personal to them or how this is affecting them. You would never know. So I only share. I don't share every session. I might ask to share something if it sounds really interesting, or I think somebody might want to see it, or it might be cool to kind of for someone else to get the information or just to see how or what happened. Then I'll ask, hey, you mind if I share this portion of the session, and that's that. But yeah, it's always recorded because not just I want you to have a copy also, but sometimes people they go into hypnosis. It's a very small percentage, maybe 2-3% of people who will go into hypnosis and they won't remember anything. I
Oh,
mean, nothing. Like, they will swear they fell asleep. Like, they will be like, what happened? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, we're done. I'm like, yeah. That's why I just counted you out. That's why we just did the whole dehypnotization. And but they don't remember any of that. All they remember is they're opening their eyes and they think they fell asleep. And so it's good for that when they don't remember anything, so that they can understand and see what happened. Because they literally won't believe me until I show them the video. I'm like, you literally think that I was sitting here for 2-3 hours talking to myself. Look at the time. You think I was
right.
talking to myself the whole time. So, when you think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like, oh, this is crazy. So, I record it for that purpose too, but also it's good when they can kind of go back. The more you watch your session and understand how those situations were influencing you and affecting you too, it helps as well. And not just that, sometimes you get more clarity out of something that might have happened. It's kind of like you reading a book once, but every time you read it, you get something else from it. And it's like, oh, I
Yes,
didn't
you get
even
a different
notice
message.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's an important part of it too. I always tell them, make sure you watch it, not just one time, or don't forget about it and feel like, oh, okay, that was a nice experience. Like, no, this is done with purpose. Like, if you want to do the work. That's why I'm recording it. So you can review it when you need to, and you can continue to do the work that you need. And when you look back, you will be able to see a difference. Like, oh, I've grown so much from this time. We can definitely ask about that, because there's a part in the session where we do like a Q&A with the higher self or spirit guide, whoever decides to show up. And you can ask them whatever questions you want. It's up to 15 questions. You can ask them about things from, current life, past life, situations you've had. It can be career, love, relationships, your spirituality, about what's the best thing for me to do next, purpose. I mean, you can ask literally anything. I've had people ask stuff like, when am I going to die? And I'm not asking that. Like,
Okay.
I don't like,
No.
but listen, the thing is, sometimes I will ask it just so that they can understand, like, you're not going to get an answer anyway. So I'm not going to, but I don't like asking that question. But they won't answer. They'll never get an answer. And they'll be like, why is she worried about that for? She got enough to deal with. She's fine. Next question. They will be very frank and literal with that. So, but yeah, you can literally ask. I just say that so you can literally ask any question to get guidance or clarity on whatever you're dealing with in life.
I feel like we covered a lot today. Is there anything else you wanted to let the audience know? I feel like we covered a lot, though.
Oh yeah. Oh well. I guess we can, because I know this comes up a lot whenever people hear about spirit attachments. So they want to know what a spirit attachment, how does it affect you, and the significance or the importance of getting rid of that spirit attachment from the obvious. So
Right.
when a spirit attached to you, whether it be in any form, it brings certain issues with it. Like I said, when let's say if they were a earthbound spirit, which is just like a spirit who passed on and they just never went to the light. So if they're earthbound spirit, sometimes they come to you with issues like anger, depression, or maybe something else that happened to them in their life, or like any emotional or issue, mental issue. When they attach to you, they can attach to any part of your body, literally. I've seen attachments like in the ears, the fingers, the hands, the feet, the legs, the arms, the uterus, the organ, even attached to your aura. Literally, they can attach to your physical or spiritual body. When they attach to you, they bring certain issues, and when those issues, they will affect you in some form or fashion. So let's say if something attached to you and it was just really angry, and then you started being in certain maybe areas of your life or with certain people becoming very angry and just being rash towards people, and didn't realize that it wasn't because of you, it was that energy that was affecting you, that was causing you to be that way. But once I go in and I realize and I talk to the energy, find out how they've been influencing you, and how long it's been there. And not just that, um, a spirit attachments, they can't really attach to you if you keep your vibration high.
Okay.
And that's something that a lot of people aren't aware of. They will attach to you during certain difficult periods of your life when you're experiencing something. Sometimes I find attachments that were literally there since birth, or they've been there since a toddler or childhood, or like they've been there for decades sometimes. And there's others that was like, oh, I've just been here for a few months, or I've been here for a few years, or whatever. So they will attach to you and they will bring those issues and they'll affect you and you won't even realize it's not you. But once I get them to go to the light and I get them to understand how they've been affecting you, and that them being there isn't for their good and isn't for their best or for you, then they go to the light. Once they leave, I have them take all of that stuff with them, have whatever they brought, whether it be, depression, anger, whatever, you know what I mean, negative thoughts, emotions, pain, physical pain, because sometimes it manifests in physical pain. Then I have them take that with them as well. And once they leave, my clients always say they basically feel like almost immediate relief, like it's gone.
Hey,
But
wow.
yeah, so that's the importance of being able of having to remove them, because you see normal people, you wouldn't know that they had attachment. You would have no idea. You can't look at somebody and say, oh, they have an attachment. You won't know. I've had clients who didn't have any attachments. I had clients who had 1 or 2 attachments. I have maybe the most I've had, one client that was, well, technically it wasn't all attachments, but it was like 30 spirits basically that I had to deal with in that session. About 15 of them were attached to her physical body, and there was others that were in the room that just saw the opportunity to come through, and they wanted to go to the light, and they basically asked, can you help me go to the light? You showed me the light, and they needed some assistance. So, you know, I have no idea what's going to happen in these sessions. Every session is completely different, and everybody has issues that are completely different, and the source is completely different. But yeah, that is the significance of being able to remove those attachments, because once they're gone, then whatever issues they've been causing for you, they take with them when they go. So
I like that. I think a lot more people need you in their life, because I know a few people where I'm like, look, all them damn mood swings, you got something on you. I've just always, I've had that theory, and especially when it comes to like the people that we're intimate with, you know, we pick up their energies too, and a lot of people don't think about that. Like, you know, if you have a partner, you think you guys are monogamous, but they're really not. Now you're picking up, you know, his or her spirits, and then their spirits, and it just gets really deep. So,
and sometimes it's not just spirits. Like I said, sometimes it's like thought forms or just energy. I found certain energies of, like I said, living people who were attached to other people, my clients, and I'm like, you know, find out how'd you get there, or, you know, why are you there, you know, how'd you attach, and then once we resolve, figure all of that out, and I convince them to go, I always send the energy right back to them. So, you know, return the sender, basically.
so tell the people where they can actually find you, look you up, book a session, all that good stuff.
Sure. So I am on, you can follow me if you're on IG at Neoshi HypnoSoul Healing, or you can go to find any of my videos on YouTube at Neoshi Hypno. And then you can, if you want more information about my sessions or me, you can always go to neoshihypno.com. And that's NEOSHI. Hypno as in hypnosis is HYPNO.